Enzo Maresca started off his managerial career as Pep Guardiola's assistant, learning from the very best before departing to Parma, where he would have a troubled experience, to say the least, then moving back to Man City as assistant manager and finally leaving for Leicester. And so when learning about Maresca's backstory, the come up is very similar to Arteta, being the assistant manager for Pep, obviously learning his style of football, then implementing that into Leicester City, of all teams really, a team who are associated with possession football, obviously having that first experience at Parma, not really being successful, going back to Pep, learning probably a lot more, maybe Pep giving him help on what went right, what went wrong at Parma, and then going into Leicester City. Similar to Arteta, obviously, you can compare the two clubs. Leicester were in the Championship, Arsenal were in the Premier League, but style of play, very similar, playing out from the back, being confident on the ball, pressing. You could argue Maresca had a little bit more experience than Arteta, having that experience with Parma, and then later when he did take on a Premier League club and having no Premier League experience, he still had the experience with Leicester, but Leicester was the real sort of time to prove himself. There was a team who went through a few managers towards the end of their time in the Premier League. They had Dean Smith. You know the story. They ended up relegated, and he brought the life back into Leicester. Really played that good football, trusting the players that he brought in, and making average players like Harry Winks, etc., play really well and be confident. And that was where it all really started, wasn't it? Because then he had that season at Leicester, but then getting noticed by Chelsea, where he would go on to do amazing things. But it all started under Pep, playing under him, learning year after year what it's about, the trust that he puts in his players, the slight tactical tweaks that Pep always makes every season, albeit this season it sort of fell apart a little bit. But he's put John Stones into CDM, swapped his wingers around, swapped his right backs and full backs the way they play, and him then taking that into Leicester and then Chelsea really shows that just learning off the very best in any walks of life is what can help you out the most, and Maresca has definitely done that. And his time at both Leicester and Chelsea so far have proven blueprints, and they've proven to be working. But none of that would have been possible if he didn't initially probably go out at Parma, learn from their mistakes, and also be in the Man City parade and learn about the how to win, basically, what it takes to win, how to play football. But then what Maresca's done, he's gone and proved that he is capable of playing the Premier League and playing at the very best level. Leicester were expected to be promoted to the Premier League, and he had to deal with that expectation. And he would meet that expectation and further better it, leading Leicester back to the Premier League. And playing an amazing style of football, very similar to Pep's, and reigniting that flame within Leicester City, bringing the fans back, getting them feeling positive. A great team with players on loan, players from the academy. Maresca was the man, until Chelsea came knocking. And now the main first challenge for Enzo Maresca was at Leicester. He'd failed at Parma, gone back to City, been the assistant to Pep, learnt off him like so many do. You've saw the almost road layout by Mikel Arteta, where you learn from a quality manager, take the skills and knowledge and pretty much the style of play that Pep plays, and use that when taking your first managerial job. And that's what Maresca did with Leicester. A team so used to battling for top four, winning the FA Cup, winning the Premier League, that absolute amazing achievement all those years ago, and ultimately playing a style of football that was very possession-based, very attractive, and Maresca fit that glove like a book. That's a saying, isn't it? Came into Leicester, restored that morale, playing an inverted fullback, so you have 3 at the back, 2 sitting in front, and then 5 on attack. Dewsbury Hall, the man initiating that press a lot of the time when they did lose the ball, and having possession for days on the Championship, dominating a lot of teams. It's harder than it sounds, and had a very good start to this season, getting them points after points after points, wins after wins after wins. Had arguments with the fans, and they had a few issues with financial implications and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, he says what he wants. He says what he thinks. And if a player is not working, if a player is not fitting the system, if he wants to take a player off, he will do so. He makes changes in order for the team to succeed and to win that game. He will do anything, and he makes them quick. He doesn't wait for the penny to drop. That is why he stood out as a manager, and ultimately, would Leicester be better off with him now? Probably. Going from Enzo Maresca's style of play to Steve Cooper's is very, very different. But when Chelsea needed a manager, they came knocking, and they looked no further than Enzo Maresca. With many saying Pochettino shouldn't have been sacked, they was looking for other managers, and they set their eyes upon Maresca, a man who had no Premier League experience but had broken boundaries at Leicester. He then accepted the deal at Chelsea. A risky decision, but would the rewards pay off? And now taking it to Chelsea, when looking at Enzo Maresca, he has really developed that team. Cole Palmer still playing at his very best, the talisman of last season under Pochettino, the one that shone through. But compared to last season, where Caicedo is on his own, looking around, stranded in the middle of the pitch because they're all, Enzo Fernandez is up there, every winger has committed themselves, a fullback have committed themselves, and it's basically a 3 against 3 or sometimes a 2 against 3. Maresca has now inverted that fullback as he did at Leicester, making it a 3 at the back. The midfielder then dropping with Caicedo, so say if that's Enzo Fernandez or another player, providing that support. So if they do lose the ball in possession, they are a lot less likely to get countered and punished. And you can see that because their expected goals, I believe, has gone down. There's a lot of statistics, and all the statmans out there will know better than me, but Freezy Boy's doing it again. Maresca has unlocked him even further, allowing him to play the creative passes that he does, have total freedom, occupying that central position, as well as Enzo Fernandez then going forward and also helping when needed. His tactical ability is really incredible and great to see, and it just shows, as we've looked through this video, that the apprentices of Pep Guardiola do have the football IQ as it stands. Ultimately, they will face challenges throughout their career, and that Maresca has constantly stated that Chelsea are not in the title race. They have dropped points recently, and he's called out Madueke not performing well. He's called out Nicholas Jackson at times, who has dropped off form recently, but he has got him cooking to a certain extent. The Chelsea fans last season wanted a new striker, wanting this, wanting Osimhen. Jackson came up. It's only the last month really where he's dropped off, but he's been providing, and the likes of Leewood Colwell being bled into the team. He said Chukwuemeka's going to leave. All these players in January have got to leave. He's really gave Sancho the reins and not being afraid to make changes, taking Neto off, taking Sancho off half time. Whatever is best for the team, Enzo Maresca does. And maybe Chelsea shouldn't have sacked Poch, but their chance and their risk at going at a coach that has never coached in the Premier League, he did have experience in the Championship, but never coached in the Premier League, has paid off, and he's doing it at the biggest level. Obviously, Conference League is the Conference League. If they had Champions League, maybe it'd be different, but the style of play that he plays, possession football, at the moment has got Chelsea working well, and it just shows that football is such fine margin, because all he does is make little tweaks, just similar to like Arne Slot taking over from Klopp. Tiny little tweaks within the squad to keep that consistency and to change it around where the players are thinking, okay, this is a slightly, it's not totally different idea, but it's slightly changed and slightly tweaked to make my position feel new, feel fresh, and they can see the rewards. And when they see the rewards, the confidence goes up, yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? They're all going, Palmer again, ole, ole. But it's not about Palmer. Much as he is Chelsea's talisman, continued his fine form, and does pull them out of some situations, you have to give credit to Enzo Maresca. Leicester fans will be saying, yeah, he played brilliant for them. This is what he was going to do at Chelsea, but he was unproven at that level. And he stepped up to the plate and gone, look, I know what Chelsea's about. As I said, they said he had an encyclopedic knowledge of the squad. He fit into the values, knew what he wanted to do with the team. And Chelsea just needed someone to be the coach, play the football, put their style of play on the team, and they do the rest of the transfers, etc. He's very much okay with the fact of, okay, this player's going to leave, he's not playing, this player's going to leave. It is what it is. Obviously, he's got Reece James out a lot, but he's dealt with that. Gusto, likewise, apart from being injured for a bit, has been the man who has fitted this system well, and Cucurella improving significantly. Will there be slip-ups? Of course, but his philosophy and the way he's built his philosophy around possession football, very similar to Pep's. It could contribute to Man City's downfall. You know how a lot of Premier League teams play like this now. But for Chelsea, it's worked. They're confident on the ball and they're getting results. They're consistent. They look like they're heading for top 4. Anything can happen in the Premier League because that is just football. But the way he plays, we've saw it with a lot of clubs. Southampton, their manager being not willing to change and getting smashed every game. Enzo Maresca will make tweaks in-game to make sure, okay, we're going to change, say, Neto for this person because this person provides a much more direct attack or something different on the pitch, which will contribute to them winning. I think he did it against Wolves where they joined 2-2 and then they went and beat them. He did it in another game when they was losing and half-time made a sub and they went on and won. So it just shows that he's not afraid. He's got a bit of confidence, even though some managers might think, oh, I'll go bully, I've spent years in the Premier League, mate. Enzo Maresca's not scared. And at the moment, his CV is looking very good. Leicester promoted, coming in to Chelsea, and he's got on top 4. Oh, and dealt with a big squad. Chelsea have been smashed up time and time again for their massive squad, and everyone, taking the piss out of them, rightly so. But Maresca's been the first one to really handle that squad, use them in a way where the majority of them are happy, and get the best out of the players. Maresca's time at Chelsea has started amazingly, continuing the good form at the end of Pochettino's reign, making players such as Jackson Madueke improve their form, being ruthless when needed, making the substitutions that he needs to make in order for the team to win. But what's next for Enzo Maresca? Top 4? Europa Conference League trophy? The Premier League next season? Surely not.